Hi guys, Mary's here. In our studio, we've always painted with an airbrush. It allows for very smooth color transitions. One day, Barbara came up with the idea to paint the model entirely from scratch with a brush. While her painting experience allows her to achieve such beautiful color transitions and will not be very time-consuming, Nicola disagrees.
The airbrush saves a lot of time. There's no chance Basia could do it faster.
By using large brushes, I'm able to speed up my work significantly.
I'm impressed that Basia wants to do it with a brush because it seems impossible to me.
Before they start painting, the girls need to establish the color palette for the army. To do this, they browse for inspiration and share their opinion on which colors will suit the marine-themed army. It's great to seek the inspiration in nature, not just in photos of miniatures. Nature is full of colors, and you can find some interesting details, something new that you can't find on miniatures yet. They also choose accessories for the bases that will match. By the way, apart from the standard Games Workshop models, we've also used 3D printed ones. You can find all of them in our store. Just look at this handsome boy. Who wouldn't want to have him in their collection? Click the link below or visit maybach.eu. Before we move on to painting, we need to assemble the models. Arthur is very excited about the extra work.
A few moments later.
The models are ready. Time to move on to the challenge. 3, 2, 1, go!
For painting these tyranids, I have instruction already, but I want to give Barbara a chance, and I will do this a different way. With the guide, I would do this twice as fast.
This tyrannid has a lot of green, more than other models in this army. To start off, Nicola mixes these two colors. Phthalo blue is also a color of the armor, so the green made from it will blend well. This color serves as a base. It's also a good foundation for the further colors. Then she lightens the color by adding yellow to it, focusing more on the joints. To capture the skin tone, she adds sand-colored paint to the previous color. Next, she applies the sand color to the ribs and joints. Now she adds yellow to the previous color because she wasn't satisfied with the leathery tone. Generally, since she's working without a guide, Nicola often changes her mind. Then she adds green to create smoother transitions between the green and leathery areas. She uses Payne's grey to add shadows and cover the green on the armor. Now purple, underneath and on the claws, to give the feeling of organic tissue. Light yellow for further highlights, gradually moving towards white claws. With Payne's grey, she kills the green on the armor and adds color to it. She paints with black ink in the recesses and cuts between the layers of the armor. White ink creates a light effect and serves as a base for the next paint layer, as it will look better on the light base than on the dark one. The next color is very bright, so to avoid running the previous stages, she's masking the green elements.
I can mask some elements, so I don't have to worry about overpainting the rest.
Nicola paints over the white color and the transition between it, and paints grey to add depth to the color. Now it's time for the turquoise. It provides a light effect. And with white ink, she adds more light and brightens the chimneys. Nicola's work is finished. Will Barbara do it better?
I have to approach this in a clever way.
Time starts now! Barbara began with the spray paint, using black and white to create monochromatic shading. This allows the same color to appear brighter on the white base than on the dark one. Now it's time for the base coat. Barbara starts with the dark elements such as the armor. This step doesn't require precision. She can go beyond the edges, because the light colors she will apply later will blend with the dark base, creating additional color depth. Barbara uses a larger flat brush to save time. For non-armored dark elements, she applies brown colors to prevent the shadow from blending into the armor. Additionally, while painting wet on the armor, she can add some white for the color blending. When moving on to surfaces with visible transition from black to white, such as legs, it's best to use pre-blending, because there's no point in covering white with dark color when it's supposed to remain light. Before starting, prepare the colors you want to mix, because acrylic paint dries quickly, so you need to paint very fast. Look at the colors on the palette. They are intense. Barbara doesn't darken them. She simply applies thin layers that don't have much coverage and appear subdued. Therefore, this stage is casual, because it still requires applying multiple layers to intensify the colors. It's worth noting the natural shading, so the colors underneath the armor are darker. Each subsequent element on the white spray is pre-blended to save time and achieve smooth color transitions similar to airbrushing. Before moving on to the next layers, it's essential for the paint to dry well. Barbara uses a hair dryer to speed up the process.
The hair dryer also comes in handy during miniature painting.
If we skip this step, there's a high chance of pulling the paint off the miniature. The hawk bristle brush are Barbara's secret weapon, because they leave a texture necessary for detailing in the later stages. This is where the regular brushes have an advantage over airbrush. She uses a small amount of paint to create highlights and shadows. The next step is to blend along the edges with a soft flat brush to leave colors in the recesses. At this stage, she applies the same colors to enhance the intensity and adds additional hues. The entire process took Barbara, for now let's keep that a secret. And both minis are ready. The summary of this challenge will be at the end of this video. And now Barbara will present to you the further process painting this army with oils. The process of painting with oils using an airbrush and acrylics with a brush doesn't differ much. We start by intensifying the shadows in the recesses and adding more colors. Green parts receive purple shades in the recesses, while the blue armor simply gets a deeper color. The armor around the brains gains a brighter glow, and blending them starts with a red wash. Clothes transition from red to white, so it's applied at the tips. It's easier to achieve this effect on white base than adding white to red. She changes colors that's supposed to be different than those done with the airbrush. In the characteristic recesses, she applies a wash of light red paint and then proceeds to blending. Barbara treats the airbrush not only as a shading tool, but also for highlighting. For hatching, she uses the thinnest brush possible and paints each one manually while preserving the shading. Bones receive a purple-pink wash, and when it dries, light is applied on the protruding elements. Pastel blue and white work nicely here. Painting the limbs involves transitioning from white to lighter and darker greens. Everything done on the clothes is clearly visible. A dark base coat is applied to the hooves. The chimneys are blending with the same colors as the cloth. When the blue armor has its final shading, orange paint is applied into the recesses, and this is done as the last step to avoid covering up the color. Now Nicola takes the reins again. It's time for resin on the bases. It will make a great water effect. Nicola adds pebbles to be submerged in it, which adds interesting texture and color. She mixes the resin, adds dye to make it resemble real water, and applies it to the bases using a pipette. She spreads it around to make the effect look natural. Once the resin dries, she glues accessories to the bases and hands them over to Barbara for painting. The bases have dark marine colors from the airbrush, and with the brush it was enough to dry brush light on the edges with brighter acrylic colors. In the video you can see what additional colors can be applied to the base. Now it's time for the final layer of resin. This time Nicola uses UV resin. This one is well suited for this stage as it can be quickly cured. The final layer gives gloss and texture to the water. And so, the minis are ready.
Now it's time for the results and announcing the winner of our challenge. We've divided the assessment of this challenge into categories. The first one is time. It took Nicola 87 minutes to paint the mini, while Barbara 92 minutes. The difference is small, just 4 minutes longer, but still. The second category is quality. After the first stage alone, it's hard to determine the winner because these two techniques differ. But if we compare the finished minis, they look very similar. For us, it's a tie. And what do you think? The next category is price. Airbrushing requires a lot of things. A compressor, special paints, and of course an airbrush. The price of such a set is at least $200. On the other hand, brushes that Barbara used can be bought for around $5. And difficulty. Airbrushing requires certain skills, but painting with a brush is much more complicated. Besides, the airbrush doesn't get tired, but Barbara's hand does. So, summarizing our challenge, we have the winner! Despite Barbara's great efforts, it's hard to compete with the machine. And how do you paint your minis? Let us know in the comments, maybe someone else won according to you. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked today's video, don't forget to press the like button, and if you're new and want to see more of our videos, don't forget to subscribe our channel. And also don't forget to visit our website. We have nice bases and magnetic trays for minis, so if you're interested, don't forget to check it out. See you next time!